Welcome back, students. Welcome back, students. In today's video, we'll be looking into some animations and transitions, some properties which are inbuilt somehow, and we'll be looking into them. Now, the first change which I made today is I've added a input button here, and we'll be working with this and tend to understand something about animation, movements of elements and some properties. Okay, so what the properties are we'll be discussing very soon. Now first of all, let us see that I have a particular style. I've styled this button, this submit button, and it is currently visually displayed in front of you. Now the first property which I would like to discuss is the transition property. Now, the transition property is generally used for basic animations like basic movements and color transformations. For example, in this button, now I need to transit from the background. If I add a pseudo selector, first of all, let us add the pseudo selector. So for submit button, the pseudo selector I would like to use is hover. The most commonly and maximum used pseudo selector is hover only. Now, when I hover is something when I move the mouse button on this button on top of this button. Now, there must be certain changes which I want to have. The first change which I want to have is the background color. The background color should dim out, or there must be certain changes of the background color. So the main aim is to select the default image, the default color, and then lighten them up, okay, by just increasing the value. Okay, now if I've saved, okay, now when I hover this up, let me first save the code and I'll refresh it. Now let me hover it. Now you can see that there is a direct transition. The When I hover, automatically the color changes. Okay, now this is what I don't want. What I want is there must be a gradual change, and the effect should look good, right? So for that, the general function which is being used, the property which is used is called as your transition property. So in the transition property, you need to specify the following. First of all, the property you want to affect, that is the background color. Rather, we'll be using background only. That would be far more better. So I need the background property to be transformed. The second option is the time duration. Okay, the time duration can be, let's say, 500 milliseconds if I want. S stands for seconds and ms stands for milliseconds. So 500 milliseconds will be the maximum duration of the transition. And thirdly, the the mode of transition can be one of the following. The first can be ease. Like for example, if I save it and just go to this, now there is a very subtle difference. Gradually it is being moving. Second option is like you can give linear maximum type. The linear is the most commonly used transition effect, and this is a very gradual type of movement from start till end, and this linear is most effective. Apart from ease and linear, there is ease in, ease out, and ease in out. Now there will not be major changes on that, but one thing is for sure that we can not only make the changes in color, But we can also make some other changes. Like for example, the padding is 10 pixel and 15 pixel. If I decide that when I hover, the padding must be 20, let's double it up, pixel and 30 pixels. Now when I actually hover, it is not only the back color but also the padding which is affecting, right? So therefore now I should specify both the properties in using padding and background, that the two properties must be involved in the transition, right? There is another way. For example, if I save it, now see automatically it is moving very fast. What to do? If I do the ease segment and then refresh it, see there is a gradual movement. Yeah. So ease now seems better. Linear is, or ease in out, ease in out. This will affect both in and out option. That is, when I this is your ease in and then these ease out. So this is what is very significant. So transition is one of the most important thing which we can use for transformation of properties. Now, if there are more than one properties to be transformed, the better option is to give the all property. Now, all is something which is only used in transition, which is saying that all the properties must be used in transition, and the delay will be 500 milliseconds, and ease out is the method of my transition. Now there is a fourth argument also. If I give 3 seconds to it, this will become the delay. So if I refresh and then hover, it will stop for 3 seconds and then it will move ahead. So this is generally we don't give the delay option. Why? Because it is not at all required like that, right? So if you ever require the delay, you can give the delay option. It can be in seconds, it can be in milliseconds, in both ways. So when I move in, it will give a delay of 3 seconds and then it will increase. And when I move out, it will give a delay of 3 seconds and then it will move out. So this is the difference of delay here. So let me remove this part for you. So this is what transition is all about. Now there is another property which must be discussed here, and that is referred to as your transform. Now transform is something which is important to understand. Transform is generally used to move a component. Okay, we need to move a component during animation, then we obviously we have to use the transform uh, property. But inside transform there are many methods which are supported, like there is a translate method, there is a scale method, there is a rotation method, skew method. There are many methods which can be followed here. So we'll be very specific on this. So let us apply transform. Okay. So transform, the first method which we would like to use is translate. So translate method have two arguments. The first one is the x-axis value and second is the y-axis value. Now what transform is, let me tell you. If this is my starting point, then moving to the right hand side is positive x. Moving to the left hand side is negative x. Moving upward is positive y, and moving downward is negative y. So what I would like to do is I want to expand it. I want to increase in x-axis. I want to increase in y-axis. Both the axis I want to x-axis. So let the x-axis be 50 pixel increase and let the y-axis be 100 pixels. Okay. If I save it now and then let us now see, initially it is transformed, uh, the location has translated. Okay, it has moved to a particular position. Okay, it was here, now it has automatically moved down here. Okay, so let me do one thing. I would like to move the x-axis but remain the y-axis intact. Okay, no changes in the y-axis. So this is something you want to do. Now you can do this either during animation hover effect or before it. So it's totally up to your choice. If I remove this segment from here and add this in the hover section, when I move to the hover section, automatically it comes here, right? Go back, go back. So this is now looking good. So when I'm moving my curve there, then the background, padding, and transform, three things are happening in a single go. Okay. No. Okay. Apart from this, I can have another method here. Instead of translate, we can use scale property. Now the scale property, one value signifies the current scale. So if I'm giving a value like 2.5, this means I want to increase the scale. I want to increase the font, dimension, everything 2.5 times. Okay, 2.5 times. So if I cover it up and then move here, so it is now scaling. The complete thing is scaling 2.5 times. Now I can give 1.5 also if I want. When I go there, automatically it will be scaled 1.5 times. So scale is something where it's a unit based on which I want to increase the factor, the transformation factor into 1.5. Okay, this is one. Now comes the third important part, and that is referred to as rotation. So rotate is a method where we need to give the value in degrees. Now, if anybody has worked with rotations, then it's okay. But still, I would like to say that if you fix, okay, let me do this rotation and all here only. Now, rotation means if I give a positive value 45, then it will be rotating on the right hand side, clockwise. If I give a value negative, then it will move anti-clockwise. Now, for example, if I give 45 degrees, but we need to specify DEG here. 45 degrees means now this will rotate on the right side. Okay. So let me move there. So it has rotated right side, but only 45 degrees. Now, if I give 90 degrees, negative 90 degree, this means it will be rotating on anti-clockwise and it will just be upright here. Submit will be like upright. Okay. So I've already saved it. Let me save it and then refresh it. See, this is the rotation factor. Okay. So the starting point is here. This is 0. Here it is negative and this is positive. Right hand side movement is positive. Left hand side movement is negative. Okay. So if I give a positive 90 degrees, I hope that you have understood, it will now be upside down, right? And if I give 0 degrees, then no rotation will be there. Okay. Apart from rotation, there is another method called skew. Now skew, we can either skew x or skew y. For example, if I give skew x 45, now assuming that there is a horizontal rod, and based on that rod, it will actually rotate. Okay, it will just shear. Let me show the effect first. Save it and then. So this is your skew. Now we can skew on the opposite direction if the value is negative. Okay, so if I give minus 45, then obviously it will skew on the opposite direction. Got it? Now, skewing on stretching the top right and bottom left will give you x-axis skew, and doing the other way around, instead of horizontal, if we do it a vertical shear, then this y-axis shear will be done, skew will be done. So if I give a positive here value, skew y, this will be the effect. Similarly, if I give a negative value, then this will be the transformation effect. So skew is something which is generally used. Okay. Now sometimes transform can be, all the properties can be specified in a single go, and that can be done using your matrix method. Now in the matrix, the first value is the scale x factor. Now actually we used scale method, but we should use scale x and scale y, because there are two things which can be scaled. So there is scale x, there is scale y. Now the values what we tend to give in matrix is a sum of all the things which we just learned today about transform. That means translate, scaling, skewing, all is applicable except rotation. Rotation cannot be added here. Okay, you cannot give rotation factor here. For rotation, you have to give it as in a separate manner. Okay, so this is matrix. So first of all, 1 signifies the current value of skew x. Okay, second is scale x. The first value is scale x. The second and third value is skew x and skew y. So for example, if I give 45 degrees, we need not to give degree here. Secondly, 45 doesn't mean anything here. We have to give the value in point. So 0.45 is 45 degrees. So x-axis skew is 45 degrees, y-axis skew is 0 degrees, and scale of y factor is 1. So first is scale x, second is skew x, third is skew y, and fourth is scale y. And last but not the least are the values called 1000 and 50. These will be the respective uh, x and y uh, translate pixel values. We need not give the values here. So we need to give the comma separations here, because that is required. Save it and run it. So now you see that first of all it has transformed into 100 and 50. The 45 degrees skew is there. If I don't give anything here, then the skew will be 0, x-axis skew will be 0. If I don't give any value here, then it will not do anything. Actually everything is constant now, right? So the first is your scale x, second is skew x, third is skew y, fourth is scale y, and then transposition factors like x-axis position and y-axis position. Now, whatever you did, learnt about transition and transform. Now, it may be applicable on a browser, it may not be applicable on a browser. So, based on your browser, for general purposes in all Chrome, we generally use WebKit for that particular matter. Okay, so generally it must be preceded by WebKit. So you can give a copy and paste. For Mozilla, it must be preceded by Mozilla, and for Opera, it should be hyphen O. So the same options can be given for transform as well. So whenever you are working with transform or transition, one thing is for sure, you need to understand that it may be supported by your browser, it may not be supported by your browser. So the best option is to add on all the prefixes and one more, all the browsers will be supported now. Okay, this is done. So now, as because we have now used the two different properties, one is transition and your transform. Okay, so transform and transition are the two important properties which can be used for the base of animation. But the problem is we need to have a pseudo selector because that would trigger the execution, trigger that particular changes. Now, if we do it automatically, for example, when the page loads automatically, if we want to do something, then that would be referred to as animation. And for animation, we need to understand and learn something new. So CSS animation is the next thing which we will be discussing, and is very very important to understand them, right? For example, if I want the background, for example, let us identify this is what is HTML, right? So I need this what is HTML thing to have some basic identities, animations, so that we can do something with the background. Let's say I want to transform from background as red to background to black, right? So red to black transformation I want. Now that direct transformation is okay, but there is certain things which we need to have in in a sequence, in keyframes. So a new thing which is to be understood here is a keyframe. So a keyframe is something where the start, the end must be specified, and the transition in between. If you want to do something more or more operations is to be done in between. That can be done inside. That can also be specified in the keyframe. Now, how an animation can be introduced in a website? Let us first understand that. Now, the thing is, whenever we create animations, we have to define our animations and then add the animations to our website. Defining animation is something very simple. We need to give an at the rate and then specify keyframes. Now, this is an indication that I want to create an animation, a name of an animation, and how it works, we'll want to define it also. So, let us give a name as red to black. So, this is my current animation name. Whenever you are defining a keyframe, there are two important startups which is to be specified. One is from, another one is to. So for example, if I say from, I want background color or simple background red, to background black, right? So this is the most simplest way of defining a animation. But rather, it would be better that we have some other factors. Like instead of using this, let us comment this out. We should use it in another way, like at the rate keyframes. Red to black is my name of my animation. and the thing which I want can be given in percentages as well. So for the start can be identified as 0%. So when the animation is 0% complete, then the background color would be red. Okay. And not only that, I would like to do some shear changes as well. Like, okay, we'll do that later on. The next is when it is 100%, I would like my background to be black, and in between, for example, when I'm in 35, 37% maybe, or 50% maybe, you can specify in between a number of percentages, the completion percentage. The background color should be yellow, let's say. Now, this is something which you have defined an animation, right? You have just defined an animation. Now we need to add this animation to our website. Now what I want to happen is I want this thing, this what is HTML, to have that animation. Okay, but I need to add something more as well. I will add it later on. First of all, I need to go to that particular link, that is HTML. Yeah, this is my thing. Let me give a ID here. ID is, let's say, what is HTML. This is my ID. Okay. Save it. Go back to our style and we'll be adding them. So hash what is HTML. Okay. Done. Now in this HTML, I need to add my animation name. So animation name, whatever name you have decided, that is red to black, can be specified here. Need not to say if I refresh it now, nothing will happen now. The problem behind is the animation is created, yes, but the animation will not affect why the duration is currently 0. So there are certain things which are required. There is animation name. Number 2, you have to specify the animation duration. The animation duration, now the duration you should select on your own. So if I select 4 seconds, so it will last for at least 4 seconds. Now if I go back and refresh it, now you can see that the first of all it was normal, then it changed its color to red, that is the starting point, then it converted to yellow, and after that it came back to black, right? Now this is just a duration, so it will execute only once and then stop. Now there are certain things which we should do now. We should set the animation timing function. Now animation timing function. Now this can be ease. First of all, let me show you the difference. So ease is done. Second is linear. Okay. So there are many more. You have ease in, you have ease out, you have ease in out. So you can add them as per your will, as per your choice. Now, when we run the code, automatically there is no delay. There is no stoppage at all. But if I set the delay, the like animation delay, I set the delay as 2 seconds. That means it will take 2 seconds to start the effect, right? Now this delay can be negative also. See, first of all, it initially was in red color, then it stopped for 2 seconds and then it executed, right? If I specify the delay as negative value, this means when the animation is starting, at that time it is already 2 seconds ahead. That means when I run the code, you will see already it is in yellow. So the red is not coming at all. Why? Because I am saying that -2 is my delay. That means you should start beforehand. So when the actual start is done, when we are starting the changes, when we are looking into the changes, it is actually 2 seconds ahead. So half of the work is already done. So it's better that we should not give any delays, number one. Generally, we don't give any delays. Okay. But one thing is for sure, we actually give the direction. Direction property is something. There is a default direction that is normal. Whatever was happening will happen in the same way. Okay. There is no changes at all. So you see, it is first red, then yellow, and then black. Okay. Now the second thing is like reverse. When I run it, it starts with black and ends at red. So that means the 100% work will be done first, and then the zero, it will go through zero to till zero. Now there is another way which is somewhat a distorting type of for understanding. Now alternate is something which we need to understand now. Alternate, let me run the first code. It is saying red to yellow and then black. Okay. Alternating reverse. Now obviously you cannot understand what is the difference between normal and alternate, and what is the difference between this reverse and alternate reverse. Now let me add another thing here, that is a translate option. Now translate, I want to translate from 0 pixels and midway it should be, let's say, 10 pixels, and lastly it would be 20 pixels. Now if I run the code as alternate, let me first save the code and then run the code. There is a small problem. This translate L has okay. Hmm. One more thing I should add here is animation iteration count. So it can be set to infinite. So if I save, it will run endlessly. Okay. Yeah, now it's working fine. See, alternate means when I'm moving ahead, it will come back in the same sequence, right? For example, if I'm doing it normal, right? Then first of all, it will go from red, yellow to black, and then come back to red, right? But if it is alternate, this means it will first go from red, yellow, black, then again yellow, then red. Okay, so this is alternating. Okay, so normal alternate is the difference, and reverse and alternate reverse is of the same effect, but it will show the intermediate value as well. So that is the difference which we have here. So generally you can specify infinite, or you can specify at least 2 rounds, 3 rounds, 4 rounds, whatever counter you would like to set. So this is something where it will just run for 2 times and then it will stop. Okay. So if it is infinite, then it will go for endless time until unless the page is not stopped. So this is something which we can show as animation. Animation can is not only background color changes, it can be movement, it can be font transition, it can be font size transition. So any type of animation which is automatically to be triggered can be done in this manner, right? So I hope that you have understood the process of animation. And before animation also, if we tend to do something, do some pseudo selector changes, that can also be done very easily. So I hope that you will be using these informations to the best of your content, and you can enhance your knowledge as well. But these are some of the basic CSS concepts which are very, very important to understand. And I hope that you have loved this video series. Thank you.